and I will announce the first panel. It's the Ukraine tech scene, and it will be moderated by Anatoly Motkin, President at Strategy East, and the members will be Alexander Kamyshin, Minister of Strategic Industries of Ukraine, Alexander Bornyakov, the Deputy Minister of Digital Transformation of Ukraine, head of the DIA City Project, Alexander Kosovan, founder and CEO of MacPaw, co-founder of SMRK Fund, Hanna Shuvalova, Principal Horizon Capital, and Kirill Bondar, partner and CFO of Unity City.
Good afternoon, good morning, actually. I got used to talk to Kiev, so I still live according to Kiev time. So my name is Anatoly Motkin, I'm president of Strategist, and it's my honor to moderate the panel today. I should say that the Minister of Strategic Industries was unable to join us, so Deputy Minister Hanna Gvozdyar will be on his behalf or on behalf of the Ministry. The topic today is Ukrainian tech scene, not only resilience and bravery, and it's important to admit that digital infrastructure and digital IT industry in Ukraine is the second most important pillar of Ukrainian resilience to Russian aggression, along with the military one. And today, with the ministry, with Hanna, I would like to discuss what is the role of her ministry that actually combines two components: the digital and the defense tech. So over to you, please. Maybe you could introduce, because most of us know more about the Ministry of Digital Transformation, and I wonder to hear what your ministry does. Please.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you, everyone, for coming and inviting us, of course. My name is Hanna Gvozdyar. I'm Deputy Minister for Strategic Industry of Ukraine. And people usually ask us, what is the ministry, what are strategic industries? And for us, probably the main industry now is, of course, defense industry, because we are facing really really difficult situation of our country. We are facing really cruel war, of course, and our ministry is responsible for implementing of defense industry policies in Ukraine. So we are responsible for all the weapons and technologies that our frontline gets every day. So this is a few words about our industry, and of course we are very interested also in innovations, because we can't, the Russia involves all the funds, involves a lot of people to this war, and none of other democratic countries could do the same. Sacrifice the life of their people and all the money from the country. So of course we as a small Ukrainian country, even with such powerful partners as we have, we need to be very innovative, somehow to conquer the enemy that we have. So our ministry and me myself, we are in charge with some innovations policy in our defense industry. So we try to implement some new technologies for demining, for unmanned systems, and others. Yes, and also we are very open. I like to tell the phrase, because I came actually from the charity foundation, and I devoted my life to help our army. I do this for the last 9 years. So I always invite people to donate not just money, but also to donate your brains if you want to support us. So that's how we work also with Ukrainian universities. We have some programs with big Polytechnic University of Ukraine, for Kyiv School of Economy, Kyiv Mohyla Business School. We work with them, and also we are very open to cooperation with world-known universities in terms of finding solutions, for example, for the mining system, which is very important for us, because Ukraine at the moment is the most mined country globally.
Thank you, Anna. And over to you, Deputy Minister Bornyakov. You're responsible in the ministry for the IT industry. for the generating sector of the IT industry. And I would love to ask you, what are actually, we heard from the Ambassador Kovalev that, and we know that it's the only growing sector in Ukraine. But what are you doing amidst the war actually to expand the sector for two, say, or let's say two subparts of the sector, the startups and also for the service component of the industry?
Well, I think the major component that we supposed to do, and actually we must do, is the policy making, and everything that is related to government regulation that at least not going to intervene them to grow. That's the least we can do. But in fact, I'm kidding. But I think we have done a significant step towards creating favorable conditions to those companies. I'm talking about DSCD, which you can actually see on my T-shirt. So basically for IT companies in Ukraine, including startups, because we all consider this IT business, we offered them 2 times less corporate tax and 5 times less labor taxes comparing with the standard system. And many other things that also are there except tax benefits, but I think that's the major ones. So that's, and we still promote it, and we launched this 2 weeks before February 24th. So you can imagine. But then February 24th happened. We had to relocate, but we was actually amazed when we set up temporary relocation and actually people got access to the government system, that companies were applying to DSCD residentship during February 25th, February 26th, and all other days. So even with this chaos and hectic situation, they were still thinking about how to go on with their business. This is actually, I think this is an incredible example of Ukrainian resilience and how companies are, in the same time, I don't know, moving from, let's say, Eastern Ukraine, like let's say Kharkiv to Western Ukraine, and the same time applying for DSCD residentship to become its resident. That's just amazing. That's the first thing. Second, with what we believe, and I briefly mentioned this on the stage, that I think our role as a government to, I'm going to figuratively speaking, describe this, to believe in early stage, to be the first believer in young entrepreneurs that just started in a business. And our vision is that we as a government have to disperse as much money as we can in the form of grants to those who just started the business. Usually in a startup field, there is a famous saying, you raise money for the first time from 3 F's: friends, fools, family. That's very famous in the startup ecosystem, yeah? So we wanted to be, I don't know, friends. Yeah. Thanks for that. So we want to become friends in the form of grants, because in Ukraine we have a lack of these funds, and yeah, there are new funds that came to Ukraine after the war, full-scale invasion started, but still they trying to invest in more mature stage. And we want to be those who invest in very early stage when you just came up with an idea or you have a concept. And this way gave them a chance to showcase and to raise to the level when the funds, commercial funds, venture funds, can invest in them. So both those things, so regulatory environment favorable for all of them, and support in early stage, I think what we can give as a government to the industry. And of course, anything else on a personal level. I remember when full-scale invasion started, they said, well, we have a problem with communication. So we gave them I don't know, hundreds of Starlinks for free. And started to help them when the drafting started in the army, to book most precious of their employees, because they started to complain that they can lose a $10 billion contract because the key project manager or system architecture drafted into, to the army. So we're trying to find a balance how to preserve those people, those bright minds, in the same time to help them to continue with the business. Those are not systematic approach, but still we're trying to be, I don't know, on top of their problems and talk to them like every day and understand what kind of issues that they have. Yes.
Thank you for this. And you were mentioning several times funds. So we have Horizon Capital here. And Hannah, I would ask you, what is the role of your fund in developing the digital or knowledge-driven infrastructure in Ukraine? We know that IFC contributed $50 million to Horizon Capital last year. So, and what's the support and you see your role in developing this infrastructure? It's important that always when the local capital is being invested into local human capital, it demonstrates success of the sector. Please.
Thank you, Anatoly. A few words about Horizon Capital. We are the largest growth equity investor in the country. Currently have around $1.5 billion in assets under management, and in active fundraising phase for our new fund, which is expected to be above $300 million. This is like a truly historic fund. We started fundraising after the full-scale invasion already started, and we really were amazed by the amount of interest from international financial institutions who wanted to participate and support our fund. So we are also the largest tech investor in the country. We invested in 14 companies. We invested more than 200 IT companies, I mean. We invested more than 250 million in those tech companies. Typically, we invest at later stage. So our target company would be a high growth stage company, either IT product or IT services. And we have seen an amazing resilience among our portfolio. So when Ihor from Advantage Ukraine said that you really need to invest now, this is our mission. We also promote the same idea. We understand that when the war is over, there will be a line of investors wanting to support Ukrainian companies. But now when the access to capital is really limited, it's important to invest in Ukrainian companies, digital and not digital, now without waiting for the war to be over. So we plan to deploy this 300 million and already started investing. Just today we announced our second investment in IT education company, GoIT. So we not only support Ukrainian tech companies by providing them with capital, but also trying to increase the number of people involved in the IT through education. So we really want I really want to speak on behalf of the investors in Ukrainian tech sector and encourage everyone to support Ukrainian tech companies either with direct contracts or by investments, especially in early stage, because we want to see more companies growing to the stage where Horizon will be able to invest.
Thank you. And Alexander, you represent actually here private equity fund, and also you are one of the most prominent IT entrepreneurs in Ukraine as a owner of co-founder of a Makpo company. If you will compare the challenges at the very beginning of the full-scale Russian invasion and your challenges now, how you would describe it?
Thank you for the question. Of course, we were preparing for the invasion. We didn't know how it will be, what it would be, but we prepared the business to be completely operational, even if the whole country goes offline. So we wanted to ensure our customers that our business may operate even if there is no internet connection, if there is no Russian forces in Kiev, etc. But we still wanted to ensure that our customers and partners are still receiving our products and services, and we're still operating safely. So this was like the main business priority when we were preparing for the war. Of course, when the war started, it felt completely different because, well, personally me, I already said goodbye to all my personal belongings, to property, but I still decided to stay in the country and do everything possible to support our army, to support our people in these difficult times. And after the first months of invasion, we already seen that we are holding Ukrainian army is something we can trust and rely on. And we started to resume our economical operations, our business operations, in order to continue to do what we do best in business. So right now we are fully operational. We continue to deliver new products, and over these 2 years we received actually a pretty unique experience in cyber defense and cyber security threats that we were fighting, and we use this experience to build new products and to deliver it to customers. I think it's very important.
Thank you, and back to you, Hannah. The Ministry of Strategic Infrastructure, you said about your activities with the universities in your collaboration with the universities. And you mentioned several Kyiv, Mohyla, and other universities in Ukraine. How does it work in terms of the knowledge transfer from international universities, and do you have partners abroad? And how does it look like your collaboration with international institutions that you work with in terms of knowledge transfer, or in terms of production? We discussed that it's Ministry of Defense and not your ministry.
Like, we are responsible for manufacturing in Ukraine. So how we work is we cooperate with different kind of universities. At the moment, we are in the process with a couple of international universities, but I don't want to speak before we sign something. But how it's gonna look, like people, like students are working, for example, in detection of plastic mines. This is very difficult for us because those plastic mines, they don't have any metal components. So it's really difficult to detect them. So the students, at the moment, the group of students are working to find a solution how we can detect the plastic mines. And after that, they will pass this knowledge and this innovation to us. And we will implement this to some Ukrainian manufacturers of drone, for example, if it will be something for unmanned system or other techniques or equipment. Because we work with manufacturers. It can be like both or state or private manufacturers of the techniques, so that we will provide those knowledge to them.
Thank you. And Deputy Minister Bornikov, over to you. I'll rephrase the questions that I asked Mr. If you could elaborate a little bit more about programs like IT generation and other job creation programs that you've launched.
That's a great question. Well, prior to February 24th, I think the whole ministry team was focused on how to identify all the services the government provides and turn them refactor them. Not just because I remember when we started this, and we started to see to look what's going on in the world, but in the most cases we saw that people usually turn the paper bureaucracy into digital bureaucracy. So that's what's going on in the majority of cases. They just take the regular process that was designed for live interaction and the paper form, and then just make it like a digital. So we thought that it's completely inappropriate approach, and was trying to introduce all the services completely redesigned, and also working on this policy making project like DACD and electronic residence and everything. So basically, we were in a few words, we were focusing ourselves on how to make our government convenient and friendly to its citizens. And then when this all happened, I remember that it was I think it was the second day of war, and we gathered together and started and decided that we cannot go on with what we used to do before. But what we can do is to try to figure out what our army needs and how we can help them, along with IT companies. So this is actually why Mr. Fedorov connected with Elon Musk, asking about connection, because this was a request. This is how we started Crypto Fund of Ukraine, because we had to somehow fulfill their request about bulletproof vest, helmets, everything. And by the time, nobody believed in us. And I remember that there was no money, there was nothing, there was no help. And major help arrived after a couple, maybe a week or two. It started to arrive. But before that, we already have almost $40 million from crypto, gathered from the community around the world, and which we're so much grateful for. And that allows us to support immediate needs. Like Starlinks was activated almost immediately after Fedorov conversation was, and we actually continued this course. I don't know. I think I can say this, but Fedorov time and my time, maybe 70% dedicated to help our military. Minister of Strategic Industries is also a partner with that, because Bravery is a mutual initiative. 70% of the time dedicated to war effort. Yes, we go on to release new services in DIA and not just in DIA, but across different sectors. But what I'm trying to tell that is personally we're mostly trying to figure out what we can do in order to stop this as soon as we can. Of course, with the outcome when we win, but we understand all the complexities. So saving people's lives, providing them with technologies, we believe in that. I can give you an example. We started Brave One in late April, as I mentioned before. More than 700 companies applied already, just for 6 months. Can you imagine that? That in Ukraine, in times of war, since April to that day, more than 700 new companies were created in 12 different verticals. Some of those companies didn't exist a year ago, and now they have a revenue more than $50 million. That's really fascinating. And I think they have a great potential because, and I think we share this with the Alexander Commission, because we had this conversation some time ago when we were launching Brave One, that one of the goals that we also pursue, that we can have up to 10 enterprises worth of more than $1 billion that produce dual-use projects. Hundreds of enterprises that worth from, I don't know, $100 million plus. And I know thousands of valuation with $50 million and around that, because that's experience, that's expertise, and again in dual use, in defense, and arms, in energy security and food security will be something that's going to drive the whole world, and we're going to be on top of those problems and provide the best working solution, and I think will be the price will be the cheapest. So this is where we aim our efforts at this point, and maybe like finalizing this, but also we want to showcase the world that DIA, that the whole digital state ecosystem is something that we can share with the rest of the world. We have today Mstislav Banik, who's in this audience among you guys. He's running DIA project, and today we're speaking with the different governments, different countries to to give them this expertise if they want to implement what we have done. So we open also to that.
Thank you.
I actually wanted to use this opportunity to thank Alexander and the Minister of Digital Transformation. As you know, in Ukraine, the war has touched the lives of many people, and my family was not an exception. I had to evacuate my parents from Mariupol, which was almost completely destroyed by Russian army. And along with my parents, a lot of our friends and relatives have to leave everything behind. And DIA app with the digital identity service really helped them, along with other services provided by to refugees. So this is such a test for our digital infrastructure that have proved to be successful, and I think we really have something to share with other governments.
Thank you for this remark. And another question to Anna. Any investment fund has its criteria for investments. So what's the shift in your criteria investing into Ukrainian startups after the Russian invasion?
So actually, our investment approach hasn't changed much since the onset of the invasion. We continue to follow the same investment thesis that we had before the war. We, with our previous fund, we kind of found the best strategy for us. We invest in high-growth, export-oriented companies, mostly in tech. And this investment thesis proved to be very successful for our fund, and that's why we continue to follow the same strategy. It might sound surprising, but despite all the disruptions and the challenges that Ukrainian businesses faced, last year the revenue growth across our portfolio was around 40% median. So this is quite an impressive result and a testament for the resilience of Ukrainian businesses. And we believe that we want to support this growth with our new fund. So we continue to invest, and this is mostly the later stage businesses. We unfortunately now switched our focus almost entirely to export-oriented businesses, but still, even if we look at the companies in our portfolio which are focused on Ukrainian market, we see also the results are pretty remarkable. So, for example, Rosetka, which is a local champion in e-commerce, we invested several years ago. So this company suffered a lot during the full-scale invasion because in the first month their sales dropped almost by 95%. But already in a few months they were back to growth and continued investing even in physical infrastructure. So the Rosetka has Rosetka branded stores, and before the invasion started, they had 277 stores. The number dropped to 60 stores after the invasion started because many stores were destroyed or were left on the occupied territories. But as of now, Rosetka has more than 360 stores. So it's more than it had before the start of the full-scale invasion. So we continue supporting businesses, and we are happy to share those stories and with our partners to demonstrate that the war, despite posing significant challenges, that doesn't mean that the businesses stop in Ukraine.
Thank you. Yeah, please. Sorry.
Yeah, I just wanted to add, we are a much smaller fund than Horizon Capital, but yet we are more agile and easy to adapt to a new situation. In general, we invested in 17 companies, all from Ukraine, and 4 of them during the full-scale invasion. While we were investing, we were thinking about more impact investments, and we invested in several companies that are doing like a very important role right now in our society. One of them was Asper Bionics. This is a bionic limb developer who creates artificial intelligence-based mechanical limbs for people who lost arms. Another one was already the company started after the invasion, and they also used artificial intelligence to fight the informational war against Russia. So they use these technologies to identify all of these narratives, all of these informational spreadings that Russian are using to disturb our society and to spread the fake information. And this company is currently working pretty efficiently both for our government as well as in NATO countries. It's called OSAVU. And so there are really many companies that already started after the war, and we see as an investor that it is a great opportunity to invest in those companies because they receive probably the most valuable feedback. It's almost real-time feedback loop to their products. So they are testing in the real war situation and the real battlefields sometimes. And this is the experience many companies may never get, or it would be very, very long and expensive. So it's a good opportunity to invest in companies like this in Ukraine.
Thank you. And Deputy Minister Bornikov, we know that each IT specialist or each new IT job creates 4 or 5 more jobs in non-related sectors, like taxi driver, construction builder, waitress in the restaurant. And we know, it was part of my previous question, that the ministry actually orchestrates many educational programs for IT education for switchers in those who want to switch their profession to IT. But what is we know what, again, Ambassador Kovalev mentioned the growth in the experts in IT industry in Ukraine, but what happens with the labor market in IT industry?
Well, as of today, I think we're getting like mixed reviews because part of the company says that they shrinked their hiring opportunities, or some of them people are on the bench. There was some layoffs. I don't remember there was like massive. Because there's just separate cases. But in the same time, same company says, well, we're hiring, and hiring like crazy. So, well, unfortunately, I think, let's be honest, I think the trend is going to be negative because I don't think anyone was estimating the war was going to go for such long, and no one knows when it's going to be finished. And it's affecting all their like a supply chain starting from school, because right now in the universities, their process of education is disrupted, obviously. Sometimes it's because even young professors, they have to go to army. Students have to also being drafted. So that's of course give a huge impact on the future of Ukrainian. I would say call this expert base, yeah, and talents base, and this is actually a very sad fact, and we don't have a cure for that, actually. But the small things that we can, like you mentioned, IT generation, when we're dispersing money to private IT schools to give IT profession to those who want to switch from another profession, like if you're a lawyer or if you're working in the entertainment industry or any others, then you can learn new profession. And we launched this as a pilot, but we did this the same for the drone operators. So again, with the same concept, dispersing money to private schools, because I think we're most what is called liberal view ministry in the whole government, because we believe that government cannot be efficient owner of anything. It's going to screw up eventually everything. So we believe that private sector is what's going to drive this country to prosperity. So we don't trying to create government agencies, institutions that, let's say, teach people or I don't know, be drone operators. We believe that private sector is going to do better. We just need to support it. So I think the same way, but today we have different challenges. Like in eastern of Ukraine, we need to build schools and universities that kind of underground, because Russia's not going to go anywhere. Those are huge investments. It's going to disrupt, and until this will be built, disruption will continue. So, as a temporary solution, we see that we can switch to online education to small private institutions that can give education on a faster pace and stimulate them with the government money, but. I don't want to underestimate the importance of really university school that give sometimes like great minds and genius going out there, and I think that's because they offer completely different experience. So maybe just to summarize, what we're trying to do more like looks like hot fixes, in the long term, our ministry, together with Ministry of Education, started to doing maybe like a strategic things. Like just today, our parliament voted in the first hearing for the law that allow English to be like a official language for government employees and generally like in a country. Another thing that they also voted recently for the law that give universities more financial independence and ability to students to choose what they want to learn, what kind of classes they want to take, and so basically choose the trajectory of their education, how they want to reach the end, and many other things. So there is strategical vision being implemented together with Ministry of Digital Transformation, together with Ministry of Education, and I remember we even posted a roadmap about that. So it both involves legislative initiatives and huge capital investments in rebuilding schools and Ukrainian universities. That's going to be a big challenge, and and rebuilding Ukraine is also about that.
Thank you, and Anna, to you. Being a leading investment fund in Ukraine, you work with international financial institutions. We mentioned IFC, others. And developing the ecosystem, especially digital ecosystem, it's not only about private market and investments, it's also about international donors and investments that come from, let's say, not repayable investments. What should be the role of international financial institutions and development agencies like USAID and other development agencies in complementing what you're doing from private sector as a donor?
That's a really good question, Anatoly, and I think the Ministry of Digital Transformation already knows how to use this money, because with a Ukrainian startup fund we have seen the real growth in early stage investing, and it's important, especially now when we see that the investors both in Ukraine and out of the country are quite cautious when it comes to deploying money. And in general, in the international markets, we see the venture investments slowing down. And if you add the risks related to Ukrainian war, then the situation becomes even more complicated. And but the development financial institutions that support our fund and the USAID, as you rightfully mentioned, who work alongside the Ministry of Digital Transformation and Ukrainian venture funds, really help to fill this gap. We also work with our LPs, so we have more than 60 LPs in our fund. Most of them for the new fund are development financial institutions, including IFC, EBRD, DFC, and FinFund, Swedfund, and many of those, and many others. So we invite them all to co-invest alongside us, and thereby increase the access to capital for Ukrainian businesses. But of course, when it comes to grant financing, we don't work much with grants. I think Alexander may speak a little bit more about that, because, for example, for Asper Bionics, the company that SMRK backed, one of our LPs, Western NIS Enterprise Fund, provided a grant to support the important work they are doing in supplying Ukrainian veterans and civilians who lost their limbs during the war with prosthetic hands. So this is there are a lot of directions where those funds may be directed, and we hope to see more cases like this going forward.
Thank you, Alexander. Over to you. You described the new companies that actually emerged after the full-scale invasion also as a good opportunity for investments. And I would ask you, what was actually the transformation of an existing companies, like service companies in Ukraine, that many of them, after the full-scale invasion, started working also on the defense part, which was not natural to them before the invasion. So what are your expectations, how the landscape of IT sector, especially service IT sector in Ukraine, will change as a result of this war?
Yeah, thank you. Great question. Indeed, many companies are doing a lot of volunteering job in order to support army and to do some projects that we may not talk about for obvious reasons. But as I believe, this is not a commercial projects. Usually, this is the projects that people are willingly donate their money, their time in order to make an effective difference on the battlefield. But in any case, this is a good experience, and out of the thousands of companies that are currently existing in this state, there will be a dozen, maybe probably good companies that could create products worth buying on the international scale. So I think this is like a playground right now where people can experiment very rapidly to find something that really works and apply it to make a real difference.
Thank you for this, and to you, Deputy Minister Bornikov. We have you here in person as a Ministry of Digital Transformation. We had Hannah, who represented Ministry of Strategic Industries. We have Ministry of Defense. All three ministries are responsible on this way or another for defense tech in Ukraine. If you could explain us actually how you coordinate your activities and what's the role that you have, and how do you connect, for example, the startups, again what you could disclose here in Ukraine, with military industries abroad, and how it works as a two-way road, not only one-way road?
For a long time it was actually a mess. So everyone was like bombarding with the different requests, everyone on a personal level, even through official channels. And at some point we decided that this has to stop. So like a year ago, we came up with this idea that we need to create one platform for everyone that has an idea, and basically, when I say idea, I mean a company with a product, with a prototype, basically an idea how to use technology to help win this war. And we totally understood that the demand is that they don't know, the government is complex, and it's really like, it's so complicated for them to find the right person, to reach to them, to receive the feedback, to understand is that idea relevant, makes sense, or it doesn't. So with that in mind, we came up with the idea of this one platform. We called it Brave One, and it's built on top of a Ukrainian startup fund. And using this structure and experience, we decided to offer everybody one place when they can apply, and then can basically have 100% guaranteed feedback from the government about their idea. But not only that, it's also, you can receive a grant. You can also receive a fast track if your idea was valued highly and it has a priority from military, from other I don't know, stakeholders. Then you can apply for the grant. You can apply for the fast track. You can. We also offer them catching up with investors, like showing them to potential investors if they need money, more than size of a grant, or maybe on later stages. So we launched this, I mentioned before, 700 companies. So basically we created a workflow, and back to your question, how we, I don't know, manage this. At the beginning, we sat with everybody. Brave One has 6 stakeholders. This includes Minister of Strategic Industries that you mentioned, of course, Minister of Defense, General Staff of Military, Ministry of Economy, our Security Council, and maybe I missed someone. But so there was, before we announced this, we came across all of those institutions and agreed that this is going to be a platform that everybody going to go, and you'll have access to those applications so you can review them. But it's not just voluntarily review or don't want to review. It's like a process, and the process has time limits and everything, and it's completely official. So so right now we're almost out of this situation where everyone running around Ukrainian government waving with some, I don't know, idea and telling that nobody can hear me, but I'm kind of offering a solution that's going to twist the whole scene of the war, and this is not happening anymore, I hope. And also, we introduced what was done mostly for Ukrainian companies. At the first, only for Ukrainian companies. Right now, we have a track for international companies. So international companies also can apply on 2 tracks. First track is as a partner, is if they see that, okay, we do some components, there are some companies that we want to work with, or if they have a ready-to-go product, so, and they want to test it out. This was launched recently, so we still like trying to finalize everything related to international companies. But for Ukrainian companies, it works 100%. We have dozens of companies that were fast-tracked, and they got certification instead of, I don't know, a couple of years since they got certification in, some of them just 40 days, some of them a couple of months, but it's still, like we're speaking with our NATO partners, and they said, it doesn't work with us. Usually in Europe, in America, I don't know, it's 5-7 years to get there. So I think that's a big achievement, and this is how we build it. And I think the key is to, I don't know, is to find the balance of like this responsibility matrix that everyone who is in charge. And maybe the last thing about your question, and I'm going to hand over to you back. It's what our role is. So we saw that our role could be in managing this complex, I would call this CRM system. So still, military deliver the expertise. We help them to build a sophisticated, comprehensive system that allows to process all of this. Ministry of Defense give the certification, responsible certification process, and sometimes for procurement. We also handle grants part. And generally, operationally, we also supply with their investor relationship process, and maybe I forgot something, but again, generally, it's more like to keep this thing together.
Thank you, and we have 1.5 minutes left. I'll address the same question to both of you. I try to be brief. Hanna, you represent, again, leading investment fund, and if Ukrainian company that exists in a fighting country will try to attract international investors, how should they pitch? How they should convince people to invest into a country that actually suffers from electricity shortages and other things that we know?
Well, I would say that we need to showcase those companies that manage not only sustain but grow throughout the conflict. We see that many IT service businesses they continue to grow despite of electricity shortages, and they continue to deliver on time. So the results would be the best pitch for any company. And speaking about our portfolio, for example, we have an the company called AirSlate, which is the document processing company. And this company actually got the unicorn status already after the invasion has started, and this is kind of a testament of investors' belief in Ukrainian businesses, both in this case in product businesses. So I think we just need to pitch with pride.
Thank you so much. So we are out of time, but please,
yeah,
Alexander.
I would add only one thing. The most important thing is to show traction on Western markets. If you are able to sell your products and services, even in these conditions, to the Western clients, it means that you're already worth investing. And this is the only thing that we are looking when we are making investment. We invest in Ukrainian companies who are targeting and making their products for the Western markets. And this is the main requirement that we have as a fund.
Thank you so much. Thank you for coming, and thank you for this insightful conversation. Thank you.
Thank you.